What's going on, man? This is your boy, man. This is Mr. Waleed Kareem, aka Mr. Blessed and Unstoppable, man. I wanted to start off by saying Happy New Year. Happy New Year, man, to everybody out there in the YouTube world, man. For anybody who watches this video, man, I am just saying Happy New Year, man. Happy New Year. I also want to just extend, man, just blessings, man. Words of encouragement to, let you guys know exactly where we're at and how you can truly change your life, man. It's levels to this, man. If you ask me, it's about patience and discipline and consistency. I guess discipline and consistency kind of goes hand in hand because you have to be disciplined to consistently do something positive. That's what I should have said. Consistency on a positive level. With that being said, man, what I'm offering you guys is something to think about. Just keep this in mind. Oftentimes, man, we sit back and we think about what somebody else has, right? So we're looking at what your neighbor has, what your cousin has, what your brother has, a coworker, what have you. Too many times we don't see that. We don't know what they've been through. We don't know what they've endured to be in their season. One thing is that seeds have already been sown, okay? Seeds have already been sown, whether they were seeds of sorrow and pain, whether they were sacrifice. There was a seed of sacrifice, a seed of faith. We don't know. You know what I mean? So a lot of times we sit back and we see somebody else walking in their season and you tend to get impatient with time or your creator or whatever it is, that has you feeling as if you deserve to be free right now or deserve to be happy right now, whatever it is, But I just want to give you guys two stories, one which is real and one which was given to me during my time of impatience, and it was a true blessing to me, and this blessing has been ongoing now for like 13 plus years. But I want to share with you guys something because I know this right here, man, will truly, truly, truly be a blessing to somebody. I was at a stage in my life about 13, 14 years ago that actually it dates back about 15 years ago to where I was at the point to where I really wanted to be married. Like that was just my ultimate goal, was to be happily married. Not married for the sake of what somebody else thought, not married because that was, because of my age, I felt like I was running out of time. It wasn't none of that. I don't buy into that. I don't believe that age is a factor when it comes to marriage. I believe that the maturity level is the real factor in becoming married. So at this time, I was ready to be married. I had been married once before. I got married at a very early age. And of course, there was no maturity there. So the marriage did not last. But moving forward, when I got, it was about a 10-year span, give or take or more. I was ready to get married again. I'm one of those people who marriage is, I love marriage. I just want to say that, man. I love marriage. Like, there's nothing like having somebody who you can call your own, not in a possessive way, but in a loving way. Something that everybody else can't have. You know what I mean? And I know a lot of you guys are probably going to comment below because I got to say it. Please, man, like and share this message. If you found any value in this, I encourage you guys to please share it. Share it on Facebook. Share it wherever you can share it at, man, because this right here is going to bless somebody. So I'm just telling you guys that, to me, marriage is like, it's love. It's being able to give somebody something that you can't get anywhere else. You know what I mean? Um, it's a spiritual thing, something that we definitely don't talk about. And in this day and age, spirituality is a almost like a forbidden word. You know what I mean? But whether you guys know it or not, man, we live more in the spirit than we could ever live in the natural, and that's honest to goodness truth. But you guys, nobody's gonna talk about it mainstream, so because you don't hear it a lot, you don't believe it. But I'm telling you what's up. Anyway, follow me for more videos, man, because I'm gonna be really dropping some good information. Here's the story that led me into my beautiful matrimony with my wife, man, of 13 plus years. So I was at this stage of my life, man, where I really wanted to be married, but I was also coming out of I knew I was approaching my next level in life, right? So my next level was I was coming from the streets. I had been used to, having all types of relationships with women, actually non-relationships, you know what I mean? But relations, and no commitment, no lying. I'm not the type of person to sit there and lie to you. It was just no commitment. You know what I'm saying? It was what it was, But I understood that to get married meant that I had to get that out of my spirit. I had to get that out of me. That was something that could not be brought into my marriage. And I longed to be married. I wanted somebody who I could call mine. You know what I mean? A Mrs. Wali. You know what I mean? A Mrs. Unstoppable. So I wanted an individual who I could call my own. And I felt that there was more needed on my end to get my life together than I could ask of this other individual. Just being real. You know what I'm saying? Like, so many times, man, y'all sit there and you think that the other person got to get their act together. But it's you. You got to get your act together. There was nothing that I could offer my wife had I not went through this little transition. So my transition was to actually just be the total opposite of what I was prior to becoming a married man. So I took time out, just being honest, and I know, this is not for everybody, but this was what I did because this was how bad I wanted a long-lasting marriage. And as I stated at the very beginning of this, there are sacrifices that have to be made. That sacrifice is a seed. That seed is your harvest if you understand how to treat your seed. You know what I'm saying? So this was my seed. My seed was a seed of sacrifice. So I stopped having sex for a while. And it was because I was so used to having women as I desired to have them. You know what I mean? That there was no way possible that I could go into a marriage with one woman who may or may not always agree on my terms. You know what I mean? So for me, it was like my abstaining was about me being able to be faithful regardless of the ups and downs of that. Because most men have multiple women strictly because of that reason, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? Because maybe you don't feel like putting out, you don't feel like making love, whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? He has somebody else on standby who can make that promise to him or satisfy him in some way, shape, or form. And that was my biggest issue going into my marriage. Like, I knew that my creator, the Most High, I knew that he would give me all that I desired. So I wasn't concerned with that. I was concerned about, what about when we have our issues, we're not seeing eye to eye sexually. That's normally what really breaks a marriage up. And everybody knows that. That's not there's no type of secret in that. Sex is normally in most cases, not all cases, but in most cases, that's the reason to cheat. So I was trying to be preventive, and deal with that at that particular time, right? So that's what I did. And by doing that, I was preparing myself for my wife and for a long life with my wife, because I knew who I was prior to becoming a married man. I knew that I was used to having my way. I didn't have any type of discipline about myself, being able to just have people, women on call. You know what I mean? Like, when I say on call, you know what I mean, side chicks, even though it was what it was. So moving forward, I turned my life around, became much closer to God, allowing me, to hear, clearer and better, so that I could move forward and starting a new family, because I had already had one child, but I was ready to start my life over again at almost 30 years old. So what happened was, I was in church, and at this particular time, I was dating this woman who I thought was my wife. And I think that I began to actually seek her. One is because I told her what I was on. I told her I wanted a wife, so on and so forth. So she kind of took advantage of the information and began to talk the husband and wife thing with me. You know what I mean? And we both moved forward, in agreement that, marriage was something that we both desired. So I'm thinking at this point that the Most High has blessed me with the wife, right? Well, I'm in church, and I'm gonna try to make a long story short. I know y'all saying it's too late for that, but what happened was, this pastor, he spoke a message over my situation, and he knew something, but he didn't know everything about it. But what happened was, he gave like a little story at the end of his sermon, and he stated that it was this young lady whose dad loved her dearly, right? And what happened was, the father had came and expressed his love to his daughter and said, "Man, I love you so much. Here's this gift." And the gift was a beautiful necklace, right? So he gives it to his daughter. His daughter just fell in love with this necklace, just absolutely positively love the necklace, right? Well, what happens is, she turns around, and after receiving the necklace, she turns around and would not take it off. She wore it everywhere. She was just totally just in love with this necklace that her dad had gave her. So one day, the dad came to her and says to her, explain, could I have a necklace back? Could I have a necklace back, right? The young lady was like, "Dad, why would you want a necklace that you gave me? I love this necklace. It's beautiful. No, I don't want to give it back to you." The dad was like, "You know what? Okay." So he comes back the next night. He's speaking to her before she lays down again. He said, "Man, I know you love this necklace, but I just need to get this necklace back. Can I have the necklace back?" And she was like, "No, Dad, I love this necklace. It's the most beautiful thing that I ever had, and I just love it. There's no way I'm giving you this necklace back." So this went on and on and on. So here it is. He gets to the point to where he feels like, man, she loves this necklace more than she loves me. So he says to her one day, he says, "I'm asking you for the necklace. If you love me, you'll give me this necklace." And she said, I love you. I love you, but I'm not giving you the necklace. You gave me this necklace. I love this necklace. I'm sorry, there's nothing you could do." So the dad walked out, and he was deeply saddened, hurt, because she basically chose the necklace over his love. She was she didn't, she knew what she did, but I guess she didn't really know how bad it hurt him. So She came to her dad and said, Dad, you know, I love you dearly. You know I love you. But I don't want to, you know, give up the necklace. And he was like, you know, well, in my opinion, I feel like you love the necklace more than you love me. And that's a problem. So the next night, same thing happens. He comes in, he asks for the necklace again. And this time, with tears in her eyes, she reaches under her pillow or takes it off. I don't recall. She takes it off and she gives it to her dad and says, Dad, I don't ever want you to think that I love it more than I love you. And she gave it to her dad with tears in her eyes, with total regret. But the whole picture, the whole purpose was to show her dad that she loved him more than she loved it. And to her surprise, when the father received the necklace, he took the necklace in one hand and pulled out a real necklace in the other hand and said, man, thank you so much for trusting me, to think that it appeared that I was taking away the very thing you love when what I was trying to do was give you the real thing. And the pastor turned around and he winked at me when he said that, right? Now, at this particular time in my life, I was not willing to give this lady who I thought was my future wife, I was not willing to give her up. And my pastor was saying in so many words, he never said, you know, outright, like, you know, don't mess with her. But he gave me a lot of different hints to let me know that she wasn't the one for me. And by the end of that sermon, it was like I got the big picture of what was being said. I totally understood what was being said at this point. And it was like, just like the biggest epiphany ever. And when I left that Sunday, needless to say, me and that individual, we wound up breaking up. It was mutual. It was mutual, and it wasn't even really from me. It just happened. It was something to where I believe, you know, she said it's not working out, and we just, I mean, like any other time, I think I would have fought it. But had I not heard that message, because I heard the message, I was like, good, you know, this, I'm in agreement with it, because in my mind, I'm like, hey, let me get this away so I can get the real thing. You know what I mean? Like, I got the big picture. I understood now, like, this is what's going on. If I let this go, here come my blessing. Here come my real blessing. And the fact that he winked at me at the end of it, I knew he was saying what I thought he was saying. Now, to all of you all out here who don't believe in God and things of that nature, this is no disrespect to you guys, but trust me, you know, if you actually tap into something bigger than you, then you'll find out that you will receive guidance, you will receive direction. And for me, I'm telling you guys, this is a true story right here. I broke up with that individual, and I met my wife not even 2 weeks later. I knew of my wife for over a year, never knew that she was going to ever be my wife, never looked at her in that light of even being a girlfriend or anything, never. I knew that she was a nice person, a beautiful woman, but at that time, my mind was not focused on looking for somebody within my church walls to find out whether or not this was my wife. But 2 weeks later, after me releasing this person, and I tell people all the time, to receive your blessings, you got to have your hands open. Hands have to be open to receive your blessings. You know what I'm saying? So 2 weeks later, I found my wife. Not only did I find my wife 2 weeks later, but 6 months later after that, we got married. Not only did we do the 6 months later, we got married, but 13 years later, and 3 additional children to our already extended family, we are now 13 years in with 6 children. And I'm telling you guys, sometimes the hardest thing to do The hardest thing to do is to let go. Is to let go of a situation because you feel that I've given you enough time. I've given you enough time, God, or there has been enough time taken, and it's time for me to make a decision. It's time for me to put my foot down. And when we put our foot down, when we make that decision, sometimes we pick up something that we don't have no business picking up. Sometimes we'll go somewhere we don't have no business going to. So my question to you is, do you have the patience? Because I believe that in 2018, we can be so much happier if we heed the warning, if we just have a little bit more patience, if we have a little bit more discipline about ourselves, if we have a little bit more consistency in our walk. I promise you guys, there will be a lot more happiness if you started off right now understanding that maybe I can wait a little bit longer. Then just maybe you got a blessing that is right there. All you got to do is put down what you just picked back up or just picked up. Just put it down and say, you know what? I do have the patience to wait a little bit longer for what it is that I truly want. I will not settle. Say it with me. I will not settle. It's the realest thing ever, man. We won't settle. Now check this out. Forgive me if you guys, find this to be a little long, but this is for somebody. It may not be for everybody, but this is for somebody. This right here is powerful too. Check this out. So maybe about a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago, my wife and I, we were planning on taking our children out to eat. And the children had no idea what we had planned for them, because you know how children are, man. If you sit over here and start telling them something, man, you put yourself in a messed up situation. You know what I mean? Like, they'll bug the crap out of you. So we tend to not like really tell our children what we have planned for them. We just normally just do it. It's surprising. It's nice. It's nice to be surprised from time to time, So this particular night, the children, we was all going out to eat to their favorite restaurant. And my wife was getting, I think, my youngest daughter together at that time, or my youngest son. And the other older children was just complaining. They was just complaining and complaining. And it was like, can we just eat? Can we just eat? And we're like, man, if you just give us 20 more minutes, we'll all be, leaving out. And the children just insisted, like every 5 minutes they kept coming back. And we're like, we're about to walk out the door any minute now. Mind you now, they weren't starving. They were just being impatient. So after about 20 minutes, when we were just about to walk out the door, just about to walk out the door, one of my children go in there, or two of them, they go in there and they start making food for themselves, right? Now, here it is. We're walking out the door. So when the two do it, the other ones are just following because of what they was doing. So we come out, we said, man, so what are you guys doing? And they said, well, we just thought, we'll make some noodles, before we leave. And me and my wife, we just sat there and we laughed at it. We looked at each other and started laughing. And we was like, yeah, sure, go ahead. So they made the noodles and they made whatever else that they were going to eat, And right when they did it, I came and I sat down at the table, me and my wife, and we said, man, how does that food taste? And everybody was like, man, it's good. They was all excited. And, they felt like they, got one up on us. You know what I mean? So, they all sitting there, they smiling at each other and thinking, they got their way. And we said, man, that's a shame, because we were going to take you all out to eat. So My question to you is, how does those noodles taste versus that steak? How does those, those noodles taste versus um, um, shrimp? You know what I mean? Or whatever you desired. How does that taste versus what we wanted to give you? And they were so mad. They were so mad. They was like, well, why didn't you tell us? And we was like, man, why couldn't you just trust us? Why couldn't you trust us if we knew that you were hungry and we're telling you guys to just hold on a little while longer? Why couldn't you trust us that we were going to take care of you guys? Why couldn't you trust that? And when I was telling them that, I had another moment, another aha moment. And I was like, oh, wow, this is how we treat God. This is how we treat God. This is what we do to him. We sit here and we keep telling him what we want, not knowing that the Most High has something that he wants to give us that is far greater than what we could ever give ourselves. As parents, we know better. There are things that we know that our children would never know. You know what I mean? So here it is. They go out, they go make they had their sandwiches made, they eating their noodles, and here we are trying to give them a nice dinner. Us going out spending quality time as a family, eating good food, spending good time, and having fun. They were so upset, and the only thing they said was, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me? I shouldn't have to tell you. The same way the Most High don't have to tell us. He don't have to tell us what he has in store for us. We should just trust him. And not only should you trust him, but you should have the experience, the patience, the discipline to know that he has his best interest in mind for us. So with that being said, I hope you guys found some value in this, because I promise you, if you just have a little bit of patience, there are things coming to you that are far greater than you could ever even dream. While you're sitting there eating Spam, you know what I'm saying? There is filet mignon waiting on you. While you're sitting here dating a poop butt, there's a prince that's waiting on you. While you're sitting there dating a hood rat, there's a queen waiting on you. Trust me when I tell you this. Find a way to gain patience. Patience is a form of discipline. You have to find a way to discipline yourself for patience, period. If you can do that, you will have blessings coming to you 40 going north. Because I'm telling you what I know, and most of you all already know this, but this for some of you all is a reminder. Some of you all don't even know this, so please take note on what I'm telling you. It is the very moment when we give up that the blessing was right there, and you walked away from, you might have been 2 steps away, you might have been 1 week away, you might have been 1 day away from receiving your blessing. And right when you gave up, that was it. Now, how do you know? You don't. You don't know. You know why? Because at the end of the day, you gave up. I encourage you guys to hold on. You will see signs that's needed that's going to show you that you need to hold on, that you need to press. Your seed is your harvest. Is your seed patience? Is it sacrifice? What is it? Is it faith? Because whatever it is, it's gonna become a harvest. Now, if you don't have a seed to give, then where's your harvest coming from? Because you didn't plant anything. But that's a whole nother subject. That's a whole nother subject, man. I want to say this, man, for 2018, man, I love y'all. My name, man, is Mr. Waleed Kareem. Please like and share and subscribe to my channel. Peace out, people. Happy New Year.